teenage girls are developing a new organ.
One that generates electricity.
This is not a hoax.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to go ahead and actually review The Power on Prime Video. Now, The Power premiered in March of 2023, has 9 episodes to the first season, each roughly about 55 minutes apiece. The genre that this is going to be categorized is kind of a drama fantasy type of deal, maybe a pinch of superheroism if we kind of get down that realm. Here's the storyline for it. Now, based on the New York Times bestseller The Power by Naomi Alderman, is our world. But for one twist of nature, suddenly women develop a mysterious new ability to electrocute at will, leading to an extraordinary global reversal of power balance. After reading the synopsis and seeing the first couple of episodes, there's a multitude of people that are target audiences for this. People that are in favor of women empowerment, superpower beings, social and political ideologies, if you're really deep into thoughts like that. This series is kind of like watching a woman's tale like Little Women or Hidden Figures, but wrapped in a superpowered world of everyday people like Heroes or the 4400. Okay, so there's another precursor that I want to go ahead and actually include before I kind of dive into the review of this. I'm going to go ahead and actually warn everybody for my controversial but honest perspective as I describe how I'm viewing this series and what my perception is, okay? Now, I'm definitely a fan of sci-fi and superpower stories and series. That's my jam, love that. But I'm not always a fan of stories that go deep into the psychology of women, as it's hard as a man to empathize with some of their struggles. And it's not because the struggles aren't real, because we certainly know that they are, but when you're the group in power, so to speak, you can't always understand the place that someone from an underprivileged area is coming from. It's very difficult to empathize with that. So I understand the irony or hypocrisy of this coming from a black male in America. Okay, so I understand that, but you have to go and actually be able to understand where your flaws and where your blindnesses, where your biases are at. And I'm going to tell you, as a man, I can watch some of this and empathize and really feel some of this. There's other parts of it that I'm just not going to line up with because it doesn't hit me on the same level that it would a woman. And I think that's just a fair perspective of giving you up front to know where my perception is coming from. That being said, in this series, I'm going to consider myself a casual because I think that's going to give the best perspective so you can kind of color where I'm coming from in this one. Okay? Wanted to put that up front for you. Hopefully, if I haven't lost you, you're going to go ahead and actually click like, share, subscribe because you like the honesty, you value the review, and hopefully you'll like this. And without further ado, let's get to it. First off, the acting is very strong in this series. I can't think of any bad actors that were present in this. Maybe some of the scenes that kind of fell flat, but the overall acting was actually pretty great. Special shout out to Haley Bush as Allie, Rhea Zmakowicz as Roxy. I murdered her last name. I know I did. I apologize. They're my highlights so far. It seems like everyone really understood their assignment and really played into the character in this particular series. I also like the way that the powers are being used. As they're kind of finding out about them, the women are using them in powerful, manipulative ways, or they're like an abomination. The powers are an abomination to them, and they want to get rid of them, or they're trying to understand it, or what have you. And then there's everyone else in between. The effects are good as far as kind of seeing like, does it look real and all that kind of stuff. They actually do a pretty good job of that. And for the first 2 episodes, if you're looking for action or some kind of superhero X-Men type of thing, that's not really happening here. The storytelling and the characters take front and center, But as things ramp up, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action scenes. But I want to give you that perspective within those first couple episodes. For mains and casuals alike, the biggest thing that will draw you in or keep you away is the various stories, characters, and believability in their stories. The show plays no illusions that these powers are nature-based, and it seems to be tied to their emotions. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily true. However, there's definitely scenes and storylines that kind of make that true, and it's kind of weird how it kind of goes back and forth. I guess it's whatever triggers it to happen for me that kind of makes that interesting, because as a society we tell women constantly to go ahead and actually control their emotions. Otherwise, if you don't control your emotions, you are you're going to consider to be over emotional, and you can't run things because you just have these emotions. If you show little to no emotions, then people think you're a cold-hearted bee, and you get chastised for that. And so to have these powers kind of appear to be tied to their emotions really makes me feel some kind of way. It can kind of work. It can also work against you. And I'm going to be interested to see where this goes for the rest of the series. This theme, coupled with other real world scenarios that women go through every day, and people will either vibe with that or get turned off. I mean, you're talking about dealing with sexism, racism, classism, immigration, adolescence, sexuality, all just types of things on there that are going to, whatever you can think of in regards of a woman having to go through in day-to-day life, and then to go ahead and actually get the either gift of or the burden of these superpowers is what's going to happen here. So if you can handle strong women's storylines here, you're gonna really find this intriguing. If you can't, it's going to be a lot for you to go and actually deal with. Now, it can be kind of heavy-handed at sometimes, but if you're willing to keep an open mind, this series may have some things to teach everyone. My hope is that it doesn't become too preachy or heavy-handed as the series goes along. Understand that we're seeing a multitude of women and their circumstances, not just one or two. To make emotions the crux of every woman's life, I believe, can backfire in the larger picture. So I'm hoping that they kind of move away from that and they really go ahead and actually take a hold of what this could go ahead and actually mean for these women going forward. And it's not really just about their emotions, that it's a natural thing, and we can kind of really deal with the dynamic of a power shift of, man presumably being the stronger of the species and definitely have been the dominant ones as far as holding power. Now that women could possibly do something about it on a physical level, does that change anything in our society? Does that change the way that people perceive things or equality or anything like that? Who knows? But I think it's an interesting thing to bring out in a series. For my mains, in my mains verdict, I'm going to go ahead and actually say watch the first 2 episodes. There's some good character setup and some great scenes that draw you into the world. And you'll empathize with a couple of them right away. As I stated before, the 2 previous actresses, their stories are very good. The second episode gives you a bigger world setup, and you'll really see where the story is going, and you can really make that determination as a main target audience if this is really going to vibe with you. For casuals, I'm going to go ahead and actually say you'll want to go ahead and actually give 2 episodes to this as well. Your reasoning is going to be the good acting is obviously going to be good enough for you to go and actually do that aspect of it, and it'll draw you in. You want to go and see the overall story to see if it'll be too heavy for you or if you really want to see where it goes, because honestly it's just a matter of being able to keep track of all these multitude of stories, because they do go through a lot of different women's stories and situations and what have you, and if you can identify or empathize with a couple of those stories, it'll keep you entertained, and you may actually find a gem here within this series. So for both main and casual audiences, I'm going to go ahead and actually say watch the first 2 episodes of The Power on Prime Video. Check it out.
Can help.
What you want?
My dad's money.
No. Don't push me.
What?
Don't push me!
Thank you for staying with me for this entire episode. Hopefully it's not too controversial for you, but always going to give you an honest opinion. If you liked any of this review, do me a favor, click like or subscribe, even share it with some folks. If you want to leave me comments down below, just give me a little bit of your feedback or what have you, I invite that as well. It'll also do me well if you go and actually click some of these videos if you like any of this review. But until the next time in my next post, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.